Hello my fellow Christian fiction lovers, welcome to another video, another reading vlog. I know I just did the reading vlog for people are doing projects right across the wall from me. Great timing. Anyway, I know I just did a reading vlog for Chasing Shadows by Lynn Austin, which did come out last year, but you know, it is what it is. So I finally have, or not finally, I just got her new release, Long Way Home. I want to do a reading vlog for it. It is brand new. It will be coming out around the time that the book comes out. Actually, I don't know when this comes out. I think it's already out. Anyway, that's what this video is. Enjoy. Oh, you want to say hi? Yes. Okay. We're gonna go read some of it. Well, I am. She is not. And then we'll check back in with you later. 100 pages in. Also, I don't know if you guys have noticed this recently, but I did this with the last reading vlog. I've been saying things by pages, not chapters, which is like a complete mental shift for me because I'm definitely a chapter reader, but I've kind of been switching over to pages of like tracking my progress. That was a freebie. Hope you enjoyed. Anyway, on to my actual thoughts on the book. So, Long Way Home follows two characters. We're following Peggy, yes, Peggy, in the summer of 1946 after World War II has ended, and the family across the street kind of like, not took her in, but loved on her when she had a not so great growing up situation. And anyway, the son in that family, Jimmy, has finally returned home from war and is like completely changed by depression and PTSD. And so it's Peggy and Jimmy's parents like trying to figure out how to help him, and one of his old war buddies comes into the story at one point. This is just within the first 100 pages. And then the other character we follow is Gisela in 1939, and she's a Jew in Germany, and she and her family escape on a ship bound for Cuba, but the ship does not actually, like, what's it called? They don't let the people off in Cuba, and they end up having to take them back to Europe. And I don't feel like that's really a spoiler because it's history, like it did actually happen. And so the way that those two stories kind of connect is when Jimmy came home from war, in some of his things he has a picture of Gisela. And so Peggy is kind of like, who is she? Is she his sweetheart? I will tell you right away, she is not his sweetheart, because we learn in like the second chapter from her perspective she falls in love with this other guy. But anyway, I'm finding Peggy's story very fun to read because it's very real time, or not more fun to read, she's the story I'm invested in a bit more because it's written more in real time and doesn't like skip over events very quickly, whereas Gisela's story is very like just whole months of time happen in like 2 pages. And honestly, like the first chapter from her perspective could have been an entire book. Now, I'm not complaining because clearly it suits the story, it's going just fine. At the same time, like I really wish we could unpack some more of her emotion, especially because she is like the support, like the backbone of her family as they're escaping, and she supports her mother and her sister beautifully, and I just wish that we could explore that part of her character a bit more, and I'm hoping that comes in maybe later in the book, but she kind of has like fallen in love with this guy and is kind of obsessed with him, so we spend a lot of time reading about him, which isn't necessarily bad because he does seem like a pretty good guy. But that's kind of just a general overview of the book. I don't have a ton of thoughts beyond what I gave. Peggy's character, I really love Peggy's character. She seems like some of her thoughts about how she wants to help Jimmy through his depression like mirror some of my own. If you guys are not aware, I like have real life experience with helping someone pretty close to me through depression and just like living through that. So Some of her thoughts are like spot on, and I'm liking it so far. So anyway, those are my current thoughts. I will let you know when I'm another 100 pages in. Hello, 200 chapters through, long way home. 200 chapters, did I really just say that? Did I? Did I say chapters or pages? Anyway, 200 pages through Long Way Home. That was a complete brain dead moment. Okay, so Peggy's story is definitely my favorite of the two. I really like Gisela and her storyline, but just Peggy's speaks to me more and I can relate to it a bit better. For some of the reasons that I mentioned in the last clip. She is just like such a sweet person, and there's kind of this thing going on in her home. Like, she lives with her father and her father's girlfriend, and they're like basically kicking her out, which is super sad. And I just like, her story is just so heartbreaking, yet she's such a selfless person and she just wants to do everything she can to help her friend Jimmy get better. And I'm just loving reading about like kind of her soul searching and her journey of faith as she figures out where she's going to go next and how she's going to help her friend. It's just so beautiful and really well written. The writing in this book is very good, and I don't know if you can hear my dog playing. And I don't know, or if you watched my Chasing Shadows reading vlog, one of my kind of complaints was the writing style and how, like, at times the dialogue felt unrealistic. I've only had a couple moments like that with this book. I would say the writing is actually pretty good compared to Chasing Shadows, and I did read Chasing Shadows very recently, so that's just what I'm comparing it off of. I can't remember my thoughts on the writing of If I Were You. But anyway, so those are my thoughts on Peggy's story. Gisela's story is still going too fast for my liking. Like, we're just skipping so much stuff. Not necessarily skipping, but we're only getting like one paragraph dedicated to like 6 months of her life, and I'm kind of just like, can we slow down? There's so many great like nuggets that could be pulled out and used to develop her story. I will say Gisela is just, I like her, but she's a little too in love. She has great motives, but I don't know. I just feel like she cares for her boyfriend too much. That's kind of like taming down a little bit, but I don't know. It's not my most favorite. Their relationship is like sweet, but it's not my most favorite part of the book. And he's also kind of like this protector and like wants to make sure everyone is safe. I'm sorry that you have to hear her playing, but if I don't let her play with something else, she will bite me because she's a puppy. But anyway, so it's not that I hate Gisela and Sam, her boyfriend, but it's a little too reminiscent of one of the relationships in Chasing Shadows. That relationship worked because of the two characters, but this one, Gisela, is completely different from the other girl. So anyway, those are just my thoughts. The characters are having to go through some really tough stuff, especially in Gisela's story as World War II is picking up. And I'm eager to see how they continue to grow, but that is my 2 cents on what is happening so far, and I will talk to you once I'm 300 pages through. Pages, not chapters. 300 pages through. Guys, I am loving this book. Like, literally, it is so good. I'm just kind of in shock at how amazing it is. Like, I didn't have really high expectations for it because the premise of the story, the last time I read something like that, wasn't super good. And the last Lynn Austin book I read, the writing style wasn't like the best. It wasn't what I was expecting from that book. So I think those two things combined made me expect this to be just an average like 3-star read. It's probably sitting at a good 4.5 stars right now. I have about 60 pages left. This story it is so sad, yet so hopeful at the same time. So the war is over in Gisella's story, and she's trying to find her family again, and I'm not going to spoil it, other than the fact that she survives the war, but I mean, I kind of knew that from the get-go. Anyway, she's trying to find her family, and there's so much going on with that. She's finally, like, met Jimmy, who is kind of the connecting thread between Peggy and Gisella's story, because the two women don't know each other. Peggy knows who Gisella is just by the photograph that Jimmy brought home, but we learn how Jimmy and Gisella met and formed this, like, strong bond of a friendship, and I really hope she will come into the story, maybe. I mean, I don't know what happens next in her own story, but I'm really hoping maybe she, like, comes to America and helps Jimmy and his depression, because I don't know, like, he really helped her. That could be a really great inclusion, and I really hope that does happen. Fingers crossed. I don't know. I feel like this story has so many great opportunities for endings and resolutions, but I mean, they can't all happen. Peggy's story is sad as well. I mean, it hasn't changed a ton other than just, like, her life situation is getting a little better. I see a lot of myself in her, despite, like, she's a very shy character and very, like, awkward around people. I am not shy. I am very outgoing, but a lot of her, like, inner thoughts and the way she thinks other people perceive her is very spot on with some of my own thinking patterns, and I just feel very represented by her, I guess, and I love that. I love relating to characters, and I always try and find bits and pieces of myself in the female characters that I read. It doesn't always line up, I mean, obviously, but I just feel like this kind of connection with Peggy that I don't always feel with other characters. Gisella's story, I think in the last clip I had talked about how she talked about her boyfriend too much. Well, because of the war and everything, they, like, got separated, so I was not asking for that, you know. I didn't want them to be separated, but that happened, so her story was just so hard. It is so hard to read. It's so sad. Both characters are turning new corners. What's the phrase? Like, turning a new leaf in life? Or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, I'm probably going to finish it tonight, and then I'll talk to you about my final thoughts tomorrow. We have finished Long Way Home. Oh, what a beautiful book. What a beautiful, beautiful book. Seriously, this book just touched me so well. Like, just spoke to me in so many ways. It, like, went from 4.5 stars to 5 stars within the last 60 pages. The resolutions were some of the most gorgeous resolutions I've ever read. I cried at the end of this book, was just ugly crying, so sad yet so happy for these characters. I just love feeling seen and represented in books based on prior experience, and this happened with a book last year. I just felt like the main character really validated my experiences in something I had, like, I was still going through at the time, and this book kind of just made me feel the same way, or I just felt like seen and represented based on some things I've gone through. If you read this book, you might understand, but the character of Peggy was just so good, and I just love her. And this book felt so real. The characters, the situations, the scenes, the relationships, I just felt like I could reach through the pages and touch them and hug them and talk to them. I mean, I couldn't, but I just felt like I was transported into their world, into their lives, and I was living it alongside them. I felt like another character in the book, and I just love books that feel like that, and I am so glad I decided to pick Long Way Home up and read it, and it was so good. Probably one of the best books I've read this year. definitely in the top 5 of books I've read this year, for sure. So, anyway, if you are going to read A Long Way Home, if you've read it, whatever your plans are with it, let me know in the comments. I'd love to chat about it. I want to rave about it with other people. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Lynn Austin probably will be an automatic buy author for me. Like, I will automatically buy her books whenever they come out in the future. So that's great. I've read 3 of them now, and 2 of them have just been so good. Chasing Shadows was good, but it didn't like surpass anything for me. But If I Were You and Long Way Home, and the title Long Way Home, so many layers. I could do a whole video unpacking the title. But anyway, let me know if you want that. Probably not. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, bye!